I never thought I'd be that person writing one of these posts. You know, the ones you scroll past at 2 a.m. thinking, no way this is real. But here I am, wide awake, hands shaking, heart cracked open like someone took a crowbar to my ribs and pried me apart. Because everything I thought I knew about my life, my best friend, my relationship, my reality, just got ripped away from me in the ugliest, most gut-wrenching way. Let me back up. I, 28F, have been best friends with Marissa, 29F, since we were 12. We met in gym class when I tripped during a game of dodgeball and bloodied my nose. Everyone laughed, except her. She walked me to the nurse's office, held my hand the whole way, and told me she'd punch anyone who made fun of me. That was it. Instant bond. Over the years, we've been through everything together. First periods, bad breakups, her mom's cancer, my dad's alcoholism, moving out, moving on, growing up. I used to say she was the sister I never had. Now I wish I'd never met her. My boyfriend, ex now, I guess, is Liam, 30 million. We met at work 3 years ago. He was in IT, I was in marketing, and our first real conversation happened when he fixed my crashed laptop and told me my desktop was a crime against humanity. Too many icons, apparently. We clicked fast. He was funny, thoughtful, quiet, but not cold. We moved in together after a year, adopted a dog, Cooper, who honestly might be the only soul I still trust, and talked about marriage like it was just around the corner. I thought he was my forever person, and I never once suspected anything. Not with Marissa, not with him, not together. But looking back, there were cracks. I just didn't want to see them. They got closer over the last year. At first it made sense. Marissa came over a lot. Liam liked to cook, and she loved to eat. We'd all have wine and talk about dumb shows on Netflix. She and I had always been close, so it didn't feel weird for her to be at our place a few nights a week. She had a key. That had been the case for years, in case she needed to crash or feed Cooper when we traveled. Then it started to feel off. There was the time I came home early from a weekend trip to see my mom, and they were on the couch, sitting too close. Not touching, not doing anything. But there was this tension in the room, like I'd interrupted something. They both jumped like I'd scared them. Liam said, "Hey babe, I thought you were coming back tomorrow." And Marissa laughed a little too loud. I brushed it off. I wanted to brush it off. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure. She was my best friend. He was my boyfriend. They loved me. Until last Saturday. It started with something stupid. I was trying to transfer photos from my phone to my laptop and needed to free up space. I remembered Liam had set up some kind of shared drive for us, a Google Drive thing. He'd made a folder called For the Future. It was supposed to be for our house hunting stuff, wedding inspo, budget spreadsheets, all the boring adult things that still somehow felt romantic when you're building a life together. I opened it, expecting to see our notes from the last open house we went to. Instead, I found a hidden subfolder labeled _private. My stomach dropped. Something about that name, the underscore, like he was trying to hide it from view, made me freeze. I clicked it, and there they were. Photos, screenshots, videos of them. Together. In bed. In our bed. In my bed. The dates on the file stretched back over a year. One was labeled her birthday. That's my birthday. I stared at that one the longest. It was a video. I watched maybe 5 seconds, just long enough to see Marissa laugh, naked, her hand on Liam's chest, whispering something I couldn't hear before I slammed the laptop shut and nearly threw up on the carpet. I don't remember standing up. I don't remember grabbing my keys. I just remember running outside, barefoot, in my pajamas, the cold air slapping me awake like the world was trying to shake me out of a nightmare. But this isn't a nightmare. It's real. I haven't spoken to either of them since. That was 6 days ago. Liam's been calling and texting nonstop. Marissa sent me a voice memo, like a coward, crying and saying she's so sorry and didn't mean to hurt me, and it just happened. It just happened. For a year, it just happened. I've been staying at my sister's place since then. I haven't even gone back to the apartment. I can't face it, can't face them, can't face myself. How did I not know? How do you miss something like that? And what the hell do I do now? I stayed in my sister's guest room for 2 nights before I broke. I hadn't cried yet. Not really. I was stuck in this weird in-between place, like I was floating outside my body watching this all happen to someone else. I couldn't even bring myself to talk about it. My sister, bless her, kept trying to get me to eat, to shower, to breathe, but I couldn't do any of it. I just kept staring at the ceiling fan, wondering if Marissa had looked up at it too, while she was screwing my boyfriend in my bed. The flood finally came on the third day. It wasn't even a dramatic moment. My sister brought me a bowl of soup, chicken noodle, the kind we grew up eating when we were sick. And as soon as I smelled it, something snapped in me. I started crying so hard I dropped the bowl. It shattered on the floor and I just crumpled down with it, sobbing like a child. I cried for what felt like hours, cried for the years I gave to someone who could lie so easily, for the trust I handed out like candy to people who never deserved it, for the home I lost, for the best friend I buried the second I saw that video. When I finally stopped, my sister didn't say anything. She just held me, and that, weirdly, made me cry even harder. That night, I finally opened Liam's texts, all 37 of them. Some were long, rambling apologies. Some were just, please. One said, you don't understand what really happened. That one made me laugh. What's to misunderstand? The video was pretty damn clear. He asked if we could talk. I blocked his number. Marissa's message came next. I hadn't even listened to the full voice memo before. I thought about deleting it, but something in me, that awful masochistic part we all have, needed to hear it. So I put in my headphones, sat on the edge of my sister's bathtub, and hit play. Hey, I know I'm probably the last person you want to hear from right now, but I need you to know I didn't plan this. It wasn't supposed to happen. We didn't mean to hurt you, I swear. It started after your birthday last year. We were both drunk, you'd gone to bed early, and I don't know. We kissed, and it spiraled from there. I thought I could stop it. I wanted to. But every time we said, this is the last time, it wasn't. And I hated myself for it. I still do. I love you, okay? Not like that, but like a sister. I'm so sorry. I threw the phone across the room. You don't sleep with your sister's boyfriend? I hissed at the wall. You don't fuck someone's future and call it a mistake. Here's the part where things get even more insane. I finally went back to the apartment. I thought it would break me. I brought Cooper with me for emotional support, like some kind of trauma mascot, and I opened the door fully expecting to find Liam there, waiting, but he wasn't. The place was clean. Too clean. Like he'd tried to erase himself out of guilt. His toothbrush was gone, so were his clothes, his laptop, his guitar. Just gone. I walked through the rooms in a daze, opening drawers like maybe I'd find a clue, or a note, or some sign of humanity. But all I found was silence, except in the closet. I found a shoebox, not hidden, just tucked away like someone forgot it. Inside were dozens of Polaroids, not of them, not of us, of me, sleeping, reading, laughing at a party, crying on the phone, changing clothes. Some were years old. One of them was from when I was still living alone, before I met Liam. My blood ran cold. They were taken from a distance, through windows, from behind cracked doors. The kind of shots no one should have of another person, unless they're a stalker or a psychopath. That's when I saw the handwriting. Marissa's. Tiny notes scrawled on the back of each photo. Things like, she looks so peaceful here. Why does she never close her blinds? I hate that I love her this much. I dropped the box and staggered back, my whole body buzzing like I'd just touched a live wire. Cooper growled softly at the box, and for a moment I thought, am I losing my mind? I sat down on the bed they used behind my back, and tried to breathe. The worst part? A small part of me was relieved, because it meant this wasn't just betrayal. It was something else, something darker. I hadn't just been naive. I'd been manipulated by someone who wasn't who I thought she was at all. My best friend didn't just sleep with my boyfriend. She'd been watching me, and I think she's been doing it for years. I couldn't sleep that night, not after what I found in that shoebox. I sat in the living room, Cooper curled up next to me, like he knew I was 1 inch from breaking again. I didn't cry this time. I was too far past that. I felt hollow, like someone had scooped out my insides and replaced them with static. The box was still there, still open, the photos scattered across the floor like broken glass. I picked up one of the older ones. It was from the apartment I had before Liam, my studio on Oak Street. I was brushing my hair in the mirror. The curtains were open. I remember that night. It was summer. I was sweating, windows cracked to catch a breeze. I was on the phone with Marissa. She was there, watching me while we talked. Who the fuck was she? The next day I did something I didn't think I'd ever do. I called Liam. I told myself it was for answers, to get closure, to confront him. But if I'm being brutally honest, it was more than that. I wanted to see him. I wanted to look him in the eyes and ask why. I wanted to hurt him with words the way he'd gutted me with betrayal. He answered on the second ring. His voice cracked when he said, "Hello? I need to talk to you," I said. In person. He showed up 2 hours later. He looked like hell, like he hadn't slept, hadn't eaten. There was a bruise on his cheekbone. I didn't ask. We sat across from each other at the kitchen table, the space between us thick with all the things we weren't saying. Cooper growled when he walked in and refused to leave my side. "I'm not here to forgive you," I said. "I'm not here to understand you. I just want the truth. All of it." Liam rubbed his face and exhaled. "Okay, you deserve that." And then he told me. It did start the night of my birthday. I'd gone to bed early because I was exhausted, and apparently Marissa stayed behind to help him clean up. They drank wine. One thing led to another. He claimed he was drunk and vulnerable and lonely, that Marissa made the first move, that she kissed him and he didn't stop her. "But you kept doing it," I said flatly. "You didn't stop. You let it go on for a year." "I know," he whispered. "I was weak. I didn't want to hurt you. You fucked my best friend in my bed. You didn't want to hurt me." He flinched, and then I told him about the photos. He froze. "What photos?" I brought the box into the kitchen and dumped it on the table. His eyes widened as he flipped through them, his face turning pale. "I didn't know about these," he said, voice shaking. "Jesus, what the hell is this?" "They're from before I met you, Liam, from years ago. She was watching me before I ever introduced you to." He picked up one of the photos, the one of me crying in the shower, and his hands started to tremble. "This is fucked. This is really, really fucked." "You didn't know?" I asked, studying his face. "Number?" "I swear to God, I didn't know about this." I believed him, and I hated that I believed him. Because if he wasn't lying, that meant this whole thing was even worse than I thought. It wasn't just betrayal, it was premeditated, manipulative, obsessive. "She was obsessed with you," Liam said quietly. "I think she still is." I don't know what made me do it. Maybe it was morbid curiosity. Maybe I wanted to see just how deep the rot went. But I pulled out my laptop, opened my email, and searched for Marissa's name. And that's when I found another folder. This one was buried in my archive, labeled Old Stuff. Inside were dozens of forwarded emails from Marissa. Every one of them was about me, my job, my apartment, guys I dated before Liam, things I told her in confidence. She had forwarded those messages to herself, notes, screenshots, my passwords from when I'd been locked out of Facebook, copies of my resume, flight confirmations, hotel bookings. She had a record of my life, a digital fucking shrine. "She's been tracking you," Liam said. "Holy shit, she's been planning this." I don't even remember asking him to leave. I think I just stood up and walked out, and he got the message. When I came back, he was gone. I sat in the hallway with my back against the wall and tried to piece together who I'd spent the last 17 years of my life trusting. I thought she loved me like a sister. Now, I think she wanted to be me. And she got pretty damn close. She had my clothes. I'd given her bags of old stuff over the years. She had a key to my home. She knew my schedule, my passwords, my fears. She knew everything about me. She stole my boyfriend, my privacy, my sense of safety, and still had the nerve to say she was sorry. I haven't heard from her since. But somehow, I know this isn't over. People like that don't just disappear. It's been 9 days since I found the photos. I've barely slept. I've been jumping at every sound, checking the locks 3 or 4 times before bed, keeping Cooper next to me like a guard dog. My sister begged me to come back and stay with her, but I couldn't. I didn't want to run from my own life. This was my home, not Marissa's, not Liam's, mine. But deep down, I didn't feel safe. I don't think I'd felt safe in years. I just didn't realize it. I ended up filing a police report. That was surreal. Standing in front of a cop, trying to explain how my best friend of 17 years might have been stalking me the entire time we were close. I brought the photos, the emails. I even showed them some of the old voicemails she left, the ones that seemed sweet and normal at the time, but now sound like twisted little love letters when I listen back. The officer I spoke to, a younger woman, thankfully, took me seriously. She said it wasn't a slam dunk, legally speaking, but the photos from before Liam, the timestamps, the hidden folder, it raised red flags, enough for them to open a case. I walked out of the station both relieved and sick to my stomach. This isn't just heartbreak anymore. This is a fucking psychological thriller. I started piecing things together, looking back through the years with new eyes. There was the time Marissa found a guy I'd matched with on Tinder, messaging her too. She told me he was a creep, blocked him, and urged me to do the same. At the time, I was grateful. Now I think she catfished him just to sabotage it. There was the time my first boyfriend in college suddenly ghosted me after a month of dating. I found out later someone had sent him emails claiming I was unstable. I never knew who did it. Now I'm sure. And then I remembered the birthday trip to San Diego 3 years ago. I got sick halfway through and missed the second day of the trip. Food poisoning. Marissa had insisted on ordering our room service. That night, she went to the bar alone. Or at least, that's what she told me. Liam had flown in to surprise me. He never made it. Said he got stuck at work and couldn't get the time off last minute. Now, I wonder if she ever told him I was there. How many moments of my life were stolen from me before I even knew what I'd lost? Last night was the first time I genuinely felt afraid for my safety. It was around 2:30 a.m. I was asleep, finally, when Cooper started barking like mad. The kind of bark that meant something was wrong. I jumped out of bed, heart racing, and ran to the living room. My front door was unlocked. I swear I locked it. I always lock it. Nothing was taken, nothing broken, no sign of a break-in. But the door was open just enough to make my skin crawl. I called the police again. They came, did a sweep, found nothing. No prints, no scratches on the lock. They told me maybe I just forgot. But I didn't. I know I didn't. I asked if they could check security footage from the building. The officer made a note, said it'd take a few days. Meanwhile, I'm losing my mind. I changed the locks that same day, put up cameras, bought a taser. It sounds dramatic, but if you'd seen those photos, if you'd seen what she wrote on the back of them, you'd understand. She wrote things like, "She should have picked me." She doesn't know what he says when she's asleep. I could protect her better. Why does she keep letting him hurt her? There was one in particular I can't stop thinking about. It was a picture of me sleeping, arms tucked under my head, peaceful. On the back, it just said, "Soon." This morning, I got an email from an address I didn't recognize. No subject line. One sentence. "I told you I loved you first." I didn't have to guess who it was from. I called the officer assigned to my case, forwarded everything. She said they'd escalate it. But even if they arrest her, even if they slap a restraining order on her, it doesn't fix what's been done. It doesn't give me back the last decade of my life, or the people I thought I could trust. Marissa was never my best friend. She was a mirror, showing me only what she needed me to see. And Liam? I don't even know what to think anymore. He says he didn't know, that he never saw this side of her, but I did. Or maybe I should have. I don't know what scares me more, that she fooled me, or that deep down, some part of me always knew something wasn't right, and ignored it anyway. I'm writing this now from a hotel room. I couldn't sleep in that apartment again, not after last night. I left Cooper with my sister for the night, just for peace of mind. But I keep thinking of something I just remembered. 2 years ago, I found a small velvet box in Liam's sock drawer. I thought it was an engagement ring. I didn't say anything, didn't want to spoil the surprise. A week later, it was gone. He never proposed. I assumed he'd changed his mind. Now I wonder if he ever even bought it, or if Marissa found it first. I didn't go back to the apartment, even with the new locks, even with the cameras, even with the police vaguely promising to keep an eye on things. I couldn't. It didn't feel like home anymore. It felt like a stage. And I was the only one who didn't know the audience was watching. I stayed at the hotel. Every night, I locked the door, wedged a chair under the handle, and kept the bedside lamp on. Cooper was back with me, his head on my feet, while I scrolled endlessly through every old photo, every message, every memory, dissecting my entire friendship with Marissa like I was performing an autopsy on my own life. And then, I got another email. This time, it wasn't just a message, it was a video file. I stared at it for a full hour before opening it. When I finally did, my whole body went cold. It was footage, taken from what looked like a GoPro, shaky and dark, but unmistakable. It showed me in the hallway of my apartment building. I was unlocking my door, talking to Cooper, humming under my breath. The timestamp? 2 days before I found the shoebox. The camera angle, eye level, close. Like whoever filmed it was right behind me. And I never noticed. I slammed the laptop shut and threw up in the trash can beside the bed. That was the breaking point. I went to the police again. They took it seriously this time. Opened a full investigation. They subpoenaed Marissa's devices. Found encrypted folders, hidden drives. Not enough to charge her with anything serious, but enough for a restraining order. Enough to classify her as a credible threat. But that didn't stop her. The same day the order came through, I found a note slipped under the hotel door. No envelope, just a single sheet of paper. It said, "You made me do this. We were perfect. You ruined it." I lost it. I broke down in front of the hotel concierge, crying like a lunatic, shaking so hard they thought I was having a panic attack. They called the police, again, and that was finally enough. Marissa was picked up later that night, hanging around the parking garage of my apartment building, wearing a hoodie, carrying a disposable phone, and a USB drive full of old voicemails. One of them was mine, from 8 years ago, when I called her after my first real breakup, sobbing. She'd saved it, labeled it, "When she needed me most." They charged her with harassment, stalking, and unlawful surveillance. Liam gave a statement too. We haven't spoken since. He sent one last text though, just 5 words. "I didn't know. I'm sorry." I never replied. It's been 3 months now. I moved, new city, new apartment, new locks, new everything. I still flinch at sudden noises. I still sleep with the lights on. I still have dreams where I wake up and she's sitting on the edge of my bed, smiling like she used to. But it's getting easier. Therapy helps. So does distance. I cut off everyone from that old life except my sister, and Cooper, of course. He's the only soul in that whole twisted mess who never lied to me. I think what breaks my heart most is the fact that I really, truly loved Marissa. Not romantically, not even platonically by the end, but in that deep, loyal way you only love someone who's been there for your every major moment. Birthdays, breakups, family deaths, first jobs, hospital visits. We were entwined, and now I wonder if she ever actually loved me back, or if it was all just control, a game, a slow-motion possession of my life, my heart, my relationships, my reality. I don't know if I'll ever have an answer to that. But I do know this: when someone shows you who they are, not just once, but over and over again, believe them. Even if they smile when they do it. Even if they call you their best friend, especially then. If you made it this far, thank you. I don't know why I needed to write this all out. Maybe just to feel like I still exist outside of her shadow. Maybe to finally say, I survived her. And I'll never let someone like that near me again. Ever.